piece that I appreciated most about this JEIC was the evening conversation where we had the two schools focusing as Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. I appreciate that Shmuel and Sharon really sort of leaned into the issue of something that is a hot button issue that is going on in schools, and to approach it from two completely different perspectives and to play that out in front of the entire group and then be able to process it in smaller table conversations. To really engage with a number of the really difficult questions that day schools are approaching, that they're facing on an ongoing basis. We don't often give ourselves the time to process that, not in the moment of actually addressing it. And that space is needed for the field, to really have an honest place to think about, wow, when and if this happens to my school, how am I going to address it? Rather than needing to develop all of that expertise in that particular moment. So that I appreciate most about this JEIC. There was a comment made by a head of school sitting at my table who said, when I'm addressing an issue like this, there's a 360-degree perspective that I have as a head of school, because I'm talking to those affected, I'm talking to board members, I'm talking to lawyers, I'm talking to faculty, I'm talking to parents, and I'm developing a 360-degree perspective of this issue. When it comes down to making a decision as a head of school, there's about 2% of that pie that the community actually ends up seeing, and that they can't actually share the full perspective of the 360 degrees there that they're getting. So that really stood out for me, that this space where the head of school is sitting and hearing from all different directions, and the importance of taking a beat before actually coming out with any sort of decision, and to developing that full perspective on it. Even if in the end I'm only going to be able to share 2%, to be able to take the time to develop the full perspective. And then what I imagine is the loneliness that comes with that of only being able to share the 2%. I think one of the greatest challenges of Jewish leadership right now is actually values and interests and the push and pull between them. Values in the end, I think, are what drive us to make our decisions, but there are always competing interests. And to be able to sit in a space where the values are actually the ones that are animating the final decision is one of the most challenging pieces. Because sitting up there and watching those groups, the heads of school were talking from the values perspective, but there were a lot of competing interests that were coming into that. And often they were trying to frame those within other values, but when it comes down to it, that's the real push and pull in Jewish leadership, and particularly in being a head of school, is when the values and the interests are in conflict with one another, and how to have the values sort of step forward.